She was pregnant, but she didn't know who was the father, because she has been sleeping with both father and son. She kept it to herself, though, and continued telling Michael that his father was the biological father of the baby. On the day Ella married Justin, she was overwhelmed with joy. At 38, she had finally tied the knot, while most of her peers had already married and even finished having children. She felt like God had finally answered her prayers. Ella was a beautiful and very wealthy woman, but she had a major flaw: her arrogance. Every man she had dated eventually left because they couldn't handle her attitude and manipulative behavior. They all had the same complaint: Ella has a terrible character. I can't marry a woman like that. She always wanted to be in control. One of her ex-boyfriends had once told her, a woman is supposed to respect and submit to her man. Ella had simply laughed at him mockingly. Submit to you? You can't even afford my lifestyle, and you think I should obey you? Please get out of my sight, she had said. Another boyfriend, Timothy, had tried to correct her, but she had rudely cut him off. Shut up, Timothy. What do you even offer apart from pleasure? If not for that, why would I waste my time with someone as weak as you? One by one, the men in her life walked away. Her family and friends believed she would never find a husband because of her bad attitude. Ella herself had lost hope in love. Maybe love isn't meant for me, she often told herself. But then, Justin came into her life unexpectedly. One evening at the supermarket, he accidentally bumped into her, making her groceries spill all over the floor. Furious, Ella lashed out at him, insulting him so much that bystanders had to intervene. Later, as she drove home, she noticed a car following her. Alarmed, she quickly stopped, got out, and angrily confronted the driver. To her shock, it was the same man she had insulted earlier. Why are you following me? What do you want? Are you some kind of stalker? She shouted. Justin simply looked at her with kindness and asked, Are you okay? Ella was taken aback. What do you mean? She stammered. I feel like you're actually a kind person deep down. Maybe you're just going through a lot, Justin said gently. Ella stood frozen. No one had ever spoken to her like that before. His kindness touched her heart, and before she knew it, she burst into tears. I don't know why I'm like this. I'm always so angry and bitter, she cried. Justin embraced Ella, and from that moment, their journey together began. Justin was 42 years old, a banker, and a father to his son, Michael, whom he had when he was just 18 in high school. Ella once suggested that he quit his job so she could start a business for him, but he refused. I love being a banker, he told her gently. I want to take care of you with my own money. Even though Ella was much wealthier than Justin, she deeply respected him. He was kind, patient, and thoughtful toward everyone. To her surprise, she naturally found herself submitting to him, something she had never done before. Justin was the blessing that silenced those who doubted her. However, many people questioned why such a calm and kind man would marry a strong-willed woman like Ella. Let's see how long this marriage lasts, some guests whispered during their wedding reception, gossiping as they enjoyed the party food. But after their one-month honeymoon in Paris, Ella was determined to prove them wrong. Once they returned home, she called all the household staff together and gave them strict instructions, especially regarding Justin. Listen carefully, she said firmly. You all know my husband is a quiet man. He doesn't talk much, so you must be very observant. Make sure everything is done on time. Polish his shoes, wash and iron his clothes, cook his favorite meals every day, and always have food ready when he returns from work. I don't want any excuses. Do you understand? She had also persuaded Justin to move into her house after their wedding, since it was bigger and more comfortable than his. 6 months later, Michael, Justin's son, came to visit. He had just finished his final college exams at the age of 22. At first, Ella was nervous that Michael might not accept her, but to her surprise, he adored her. Their family was happy. They shared meals, watched TV together, and even took short vacations as a family. It wasn't long before Ella and Michael became very close. While Justin was busy at the bank, leaving early and returning late, Ella and Michael spent a lot of time together during the week. Her friends soon started warning her. Be careful with this boy, one of them said. You're spending too much time together. He's a young man with emotions. Another friend added, He's still a man, Ella. Just be cautious. But Ella laughed it off. Oh please, Michael is not like that. He sees me as his mother. One evening, she excitedly barged into Michael's room to show him a funny video she had just seen online. But what she saw in the room almost made her heart stop. Michael, who had just finished having a shower, stood there almost naked. The phone fell from Ella's hand. She stared at his big tool, her mouth open in total shock. Michael quickly wrapped a towel around his body and asked her what she wanted, but she had forgotten what she wanted. She just stared at him. After that day, Ella dreamt about Michael every night. She had developed some strange feelings towards him, which didn't feel right. She tried to fight it, but it kept growing. And one day she called him into her room and locked the door silently. While they talked and laughed together, she quickly leaned in and kissed him on the lip. Michael jumped to his feet in total shock. "What are you doing?" he asked, cleaning his lips. "I want you, Michael. I have not been able to stop thinking about you since I saw you that day. Please, let's just do it, even if it's once." "Can you hear yourself? You sound like a mad woman. I am your stepson, your husband's son. I know, but I can't fight what I'm feeling for you." She went to him and tried kissing him again, but he stepped back, avoiding her like a pig. "I can't do this to my father. Never." He unlocked the door and left the room. Their relationship dwindled like a local lamb out of charisma. Their once innocent bond disappeared as Michael avoided her like a pig. Dinner time became awkward, and Justin wondered what happened between the two. But when he asked them, they said nothing, with Ella telling him that everything was okay. Ella wanted Michael so badly that she began to beg. But no matter how she begged, Michael refused her request. However, when the way she approached him didn't work out, she decided to use the hard way. She called him into her room one hot afternoon. When Michael entered the room, he saw her lying almost naked on the bed, her legs spread wide open. Michael stood by the door, stunned. "All I want you to do is to suck me," she said casually, looking down at her lower parts, flashing him a seductive smile. "My money will be yours. All you have to do is just do as I say." Michael shifted uncomfortably. "Why are you doing all this?" he asked. "See, I could give you $5 million if you suck me right now." Michael's mouth dropped. He had never seen that kind of money before. He has not even seen $500K, let alone $5 million. Ella saw that what she was doing was working, so she pressed on. "It's not like we are having sex now, so you are not doing anything wrong," Ella continued, observing the confusion on his face as he opened her legs wider. Michael finally gave in. They indulged in oral sex every day until Ella was satisfied. You see, Ella loved oral sex so much, all the men in her life gave it to her, but not Justin. He had made it very clear from the start that he didn't want it, and he would never indulge in it. Ella had accepted to stay without it, so he wouldn't lose him. However, she had secretly wished he would change his mind one day, but now she was glad that she found someone who gave it to her better than she had ever expected. This continued for months, and Ella enjoyed herself every single time. But how long would two people indulge in oral sex without actually doing it? It didn't take too long. And so Michael and Ella went beyond oral sex, and then it happened. She was pregnant, but she didn't know who was the father, because she has been sleeping with both father and son. She kept it to herself, though, and continued telling Michael that his father was the biological father of the baby. When she gave birth to a son 9 months later, she immediately conducted a secret DNA test. Luckily for her, the child belonged to Justin. She heaved a sigh of relief and life continued. Ella loved her baby so much. Her walls revolved around him. She never knew she would love another human being so much. She adored him with everything in her. To secure his future, she had willed almost all her belongings and assets in his name. She opened an account for him, and even transferred all her money into the account in case something happened to her. 1 year later, she had left her baby at home with his father and Michael. She had gone to attend a meeting at the office. While at the office, all she could think about was her baby. She was all smiles and was always rushing home so she could see him. On that day, when she returned, the house was empty. Everyone seemed to have disappeared. "Where is everyone?" she asked herself while trying to call Justin, but it went straight to voicemail. She tried calling Michael too, but it was the same thing. Panic began to set in. What is happening? Just then, she saw her domestic staff return to the house. "Where have you all been?" she yelled angrily at them. "Mr. Justin asked us to accompany him to the airport," one of the staffs replied. Ella's heart sank. "Airport? What is happening there?" she asked with her heart racing. "Mr. Justin, Michael and the baby have traveled out." "Why are you asking, madam? Didn't you know?" Ella ran into the house like a madwoman. On the edge of a luxurious bed lay the note. With shaky hands, she picked it up and it said, "The joke's on you. How dare you sleep with me and my son? You are worse than Jezebel. Thank you for giving me a son. At least you are not all that useless." Ella let out a scream. She ran like a madwoman into her baby's room, but everything was gone. All her expensive jewelry, money, bikes, and shoes. They took everything and absconded without a trace. When she gave birth at the hospital a year ago, She had complications during giving birth to a baby, and the doctor had told her that she wouldn't be able to have another baby ever again. She was glad that she had at least one child, but now that reality had crashed. Before this incident, Justin had found a condom under their bed, which Michael had forgotten, and Justin never used condoms. Determined to find out what was happening, he had placed a hidden camera and had caught them in the act. Justin was mad. He felt betrayed by his wife and by his son. He had confronted his son, whom he had known all his life, and when he confessed everything, how Ella pressured him into everything. He was so angry. That happened when Ella had newly found out she was pregnant. When she had given birth to the child, Justin, too, had secretly conducted his own DNA test and found out that he was the father. So to put it simply, he had known for over 1 year that Ella was messing around with his very own son, but he never confronted her or asked her anything. He waited, planning his perfect revenge. Ella began to run around, trying to get her baby back. He couldn't imagine life without her baby. She hired a private investigator, but they couldn't find anything on Justin and her baby. She wept every day, crying and yearning for her baby. The grief became so much that slowly she began to lose herself. Desperate, she went on social media and confessed everything to the public in hopes of reaching Justin. She cried and begged for forgiveness. She even begged everyone to help her beg Justin to return her baby. But instead of helping her, people began to throw all kinds of shit and insults at her. "You are worse than the devil. How could you do that to someone who loved you?" One user had said, "You deserve what you got. Save your rights, you devil," another user had said. Slowly, with everything happening all at once, Ella had slipped into depression. Her friends and family tried everything they could to help her, but Ella didn't get better. Instead, she got worse. She was admitted to a psychiatric hospital, hoping she would heal there and start afresh, but it never happened. For 10 years, Ella lived in the hospital, calling out her son's name every day, imagining what he looks like now after 10 years. She sat at the door every day, looking out the pavement that led to the road, hoping Justin would return with her son, but he never did. 12 years later, after Justin disappeared with her baby, one fateful evening, Ella was found hanging from the ceiling in her room. She had taken her own life. On the bed lay a short note she had written. It said, "This pain is too much for me. Let me go home and rest. Justin, I forgive you for taking my source of joy away from me, and I forgive myself for hurting you that much. Please take care of my son. I hope he is happy. In my next life, I want to be a better person." Some nurses had broken down in tears as they read the notes. Ella was pitiful. Her life had taken such a sad and tragic turn, and they all felt sorry for her. That evening, as her sisters tried to take her body out of the hospital, Justin and Ella's son came to the hospital. Everyone looked in shock. "Finally, he is here," they whispered. Justin had finally had it in him to forgive Ella, but he came too late. He broke down when he saw Ella on the stretcher. She was a total contrast to the woman he knew. There was this sadness on her face. Her sister gave him the note, and he cried bitterly while reading it. Justin whispered something in the boy's ears, and they walked slowly to get Ella laid. He held her hand gently and said, "Mommy," and just then, it seemed like the sadness on Ella's face had disappeared. She looked peaceful, almost like she was smiling. Finally, her heart was at peace. She could now rest in peace. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel.